Well, we're all just going to try to have a little CalmPosure here on Radio Row. Starcade Media, joined by our good friends Solmon Wilcots, Mike Ewers from CalmPosure. Welcome, Solomon. We tried to get you last year. It's finally come to fruition, and thanks to CalmPosure for making that happen.
That's
kept us calm throughout the year, stressing if we could get Solmon Wilcots on, and we've stayed calm, and here we are.
You guys are the best. I greatly appreciate you having me on, and of course my broadcast partner, Mike, and we're here with Medela Springs Healthcare and talking about CalmPosure and how to best deal with stress, situational stress, something that a lot of us deal with, and we need to talk about it more often.
I'm going to be dealing with it Sunday as the Chiefs take on the Philadelphia Eagles. We're from Kansas City, grew up big Chiefs fans, Solomon. And so, I mean, in seriousness, I mean, stress-related health problems are a real thing. And I mean, whether it affects your heart, whether it affects your daily health, your life, your weight even, CalmPosure, if someone wanted to take this, when would be a good time? This is like a daily, is it like a daily supplement? What's kind of the timeline that you want to be
it's actually for situational stress. So if you have a job interview or a big presentation to give, you know it's going to be a stressful event, you take it about 30 minutes prior to that event. Or if you know what, just sometimes life just becomes stressful. And you start to feel it come on, you take it, and within about 20 to 30 minutes, you begin to feel the effects of the product.
That's awesome. And I mean, so last week for the AFC Championship game, Solomon Wilcots, your Bengals, had beat us 3 in a row. Joe Burrow had taken down Patrick Mahomes 3 times in a row. I needed to take that 30 minutes prior to the game because I was sweating, my stomach was in knots.
Would it last 3.5 hours though? That was a long game.
It would, as a matter of fact.
Dude, that's awesome. In a recent consumer panel, 90% of consumers indicate that they would recommend CalmPosure for situation stress. I think that's really important. This is great stuff. How did you, Solomon, become involved with this? How did this happen?
You know, I've been traveling the country for the last 25 years as a broadcaster. A lot of plane rides, a lot of hotels, a lot of lines for rental cars, and I found myself on a flight once, and you know, I started to have this panic attack. I started sweating. I literally wanted off the plane, had them push back to the gate. Hey, get me off the plane. And I'm the kind of person that I've got to be to the most forward part of the plane. I got to be in an aisle seat. Can't be in a window. Can't be in the middle. I start to panic.
Right.
And I didn't know that. So that's what we call situational stress, or a CalmPosure moment. Everybody has one, right? And so I wanted a more natural way of dealing with that. I didn't want to have to turn to a prescription medication or risk an addiction in any way, shape, or form. And through Medela Springs Healthcare, Cincinnati-based company, found something that works good for me. You can go to the website at CalmPosure.com. It works for me. I hope it works well for you. In fact, if you go to the website and you put 1 bottle into your cart and you use the promo code STRESSFREE, you'll get a bottle for free. How about that?
Absolutely. And this says do not exceed 6 tablets in a day. And I don't think if someone's having 6 stressful situations in a day, I think they need some other outside help.
Yeah, I would agree. Yes, it's time to move on.
Yeah. So how do we differentiate like situational stress from like a panic attack, bad anxiety, things that might require more strong medication than something like this? I mean, how do you differentiate that in your life?
Right, and I think if you can tie it to certain events, right, like Solomon's story about getting on an airplane, he knows that that's just a trigger point for him. We all have these trigger points, and it's identifying what they are for each one of us. And now if it's a daily occurrence and it's something more severe, then we absolutely encourage you to seek out medical assistance through your healthcare provider 100%.
This is amazing. A natural supplement. I mean, it's drug-free alternative for managing life stressful situations. This is natural, and I just love it. I love the bottle. I love the logo. You got that on the
I got it on everything, right? Yeah.
I'm impressed. So definitely want to check that out. Yeah, use that code STRESSFREE to get your free one there. So Solomon, I mean, I feel like for so many years we wanted to talk to you. There's so many things to talk to you about, but you know, just kind of browsing around and looking at things. We knew Marty Schottenheimer very well.
Yes.
We did a film for Marty Schottenheimer about a year and a half before he passed, with several of his former players coming in wishing him well wishes as he was battling dementia and Alzheimer's, obviously. You did a radio show with Marty there for a while. What was that like?
Worked with him at ESPN when we hired him. Then he went back to coaching. Marty Schottenheimer is a very near and dear person to me. And I know he's no longer with us, but he meant so much to me in my career as a broadcaster, because when you're a young reporter and then you start to call games, what you have to be able to do is go in and talk with coaches and coordinators and people who I call stakeholders with the clubs. And he was always very kind. He was a teacher at heart, right? He loved this game, but Marty could tell if you were there for the game or if you were there for the fame. And if you were there for the game, he was there for you. And he knew that I respected the game. He told me that. He said, I love the way that you report. I love your take on things. Anything you need from me. And I would just start asking him all these questions, because I was always fascinated by the history of the game. How did we got here? Why are these decisions made? And he was a guy that I loved the way that he coached, and I love his style of play. Marty's teams are always physical. They ran the ball, so all running backs loved Marty Schottenheimer.
Attention to detail.
Attention to detail and defense, hard-hitting defense, right? So those things, those characteristics epitomize a Marty Schottenheimer football team, and that's why he won over 200 career games in the National Football League.
Yeah, I don't know. You know where I'm going. Been making the rounds here, talking to people. If Marty Schottenheimer's deserving for the Hall of Fame, I don't know if you talked to him about that. We talked to Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
He said he's a great coach, but the playoff disappointments and lack of success, not making it to a Super Bowl, he doesn't know if he put him in there. But he turned around the Browns, he turned around the Chiefs, he turned around the Chargers.
That's right.
I mean, and nothing against Jimmy Johnson.
Turning around the Redskins.
Jimmy Johnson was a great coach. Got that, kind of fleeced the Vikings with that Herschel Walker trade. Got a lot of great players drafted well, but he went to the Dolphins. Didn't turn them around. Jimmy's a great coach, Hall of Famer. But do you think Marty's deserving of the Hall of Fame?
I think he is, because I think his total wins, and because we talk about team building, and what's part about team building? There's two components. First of all, you got to build a culture for winning. He did that. All three teams that you just named. The Cleveland Browns, he did it with the Kansas City Chiefs, did it with the Chargers. And if you really think about it, Washington's situation was so bad. He got them to 500, and they were one of the worst. That's right. They were one of the worst teams in the league, right? And so he built the culture. Well, he also built players. Players loved Marty. He was a change agent. These players, I'm telling you, would run through a wall for him. Every single organization that he went through. And I'm telling you, he would have won a championship with the Chargers, but they imploded. He didn't. It was 14-2, and they fired him.
Fumbled the ball away
to the Patriots
game.
Yes.
And then they fired the coach
AJ
because
Smith
of what Marlon McCree did.
14-2.
What AJ Smith and all. Listen. So their circumstances. I'm not here to make excuses for anything or anyone. I think he deserves to go into the Pro Football Hall of Fame because it's how you impact our league. You don't have to win a championship. Dan Marino didn't win a championship because we recognize that one man can't do these things by himself. But if you are a change agent in this league that lead to prosperity, long-term success, then to me, you can't tell the story of our game without certain people. And you cannot tell the story of the National Football League without mentioning Marty Schottenheimer.
I love that. That's amazing. And
So
got to
well
ask you
said.
about another person that we're happen to be close with, that you did broadcast with, and I'm just going to say the name, and you're probably going to either start laughing or run away. No, we're kidding. Tim Brando. You guys did. He's the best. You guys did, I believe, Saints preseason games together back in the day.
Yeah.
Tim is one of a kind.
Yes.
Still got to beat that lefty in golf. I'm going to do it. Yet he's still hitting 320 off the tee. It is man, that guy. There's no one like him in the world, is there?
See, this is how you know you lived a good life, because you get to cover the sport you love, and they actually pay you to do it. But you make a lot of great friends along the way. And I talked about Marty Schottenheimer, and then when you bring up Tim Brando, that's what I think of. One of the most unique people in our country. A lover of people, right? This guy is so colorful. He loves people. He calls himself the mouth of the South. Like, you don't have to say that about it. He calls himself the original mouth of the South. And man, I loved every minute of working with him. Every minute. And listen, I'm in the broadcast booth. It's my first Saints preseason game. And you know, I didn't play for the Saints,
right.
so I don't know how they're going to take to me. And in comes Tim's former broadcast partner covering the Saints, Archie Manning.
Yeah.
And he comes in, and we do an interview, and he was like, "All right, Solomon, don't Wally Pip me, you know." But Archie came on the air with us, gave me his blessings. Timmy B gave me his blessings, and then everyone else in the South, particularly in New Orleans, they were like, "All right, Solomon, if those guys love you, then we love you too." Does that sound familiar?
Amazing.
I love it. And going back to you, just talking about CalmPosure, I mean, I've had a lot of stressful moments just here on Radio Row.
Sure.
To
Me
Jimmy
too.
Johnson and Brian Billick.
Trying to get Solomon for the last year. One of them.
I don't need to take this right now because Solomon has eased my stress, finally hearing somebody support Marty Schottenheimer after hearing Jimmy Johnson, Brian Billick talk about kind of the playoff failures. So, I mean, this is just such a great option for somebody to go out there and get all natural, and it can relieve your stress, and I'm going to use it all the time.
Thank you very much. We put a lot of work into it. We actually put a small team of medical doctors, pharmacists, and PhDs together to formulate it. It's 14 unique ingredients that work together to actually balance out the stress hormones naturally in the body, so you don't feel like you just got punched and you're walking around dazed, or it's this euphoric feeling. It just comes over you naturally. It just kind of takes the edge off, is the best way that I can describe it. It does it in a drug-free manner, and it's non-habit forming.
I have a lot of triggers, so this can be put to the use. We might get through these 30 capsules pretty quick. I mean, whether it be like Solomon on an airplane, we're going to be experiencing that here, of course, flying home. You just never know what can happen, or something as simple as a roundabout. I don't know if I have 30 minutes to take, but I mean, that's right there. I don't know, we're from Missouri, guys. Those roundabouts are killers.
They're everywhere, right?
So it can be
It's
anything.
coming up on your route ahead of time.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, but it's amazing. Mike, what do you got? It's Chiefs, Eagles. It's Super Bowl 57. Andy Reid here coaching in his, it's his fourth Super Bowl, one with the Eagles, now third with Kansas City. Who do you got this weekend, my friend?
I expect a close game, but I'm going to go with the Eagles on a late drive. Jalen Hurts running one in, 31-24. My apologies.
This won't open and I'm getting stressed.
Yeah. Well, what I said earlier about the logo, I don't know. No, Solomon. Chiefs, Eagles. Here we go. I mean, this is everyone we
Just
talk
heard
to
the reaction
always
to
talks.
this, so it's your turn. You get
It
a
always
redo.
seems to be within a touchdown. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has only lost 3 games in his career by more than a touchdown. This has every makings of a 50-50 type coin flip game. How are you flipping the coin and try to erase the Cincinnati bias, please?
Oh, no. Look, I think you can check the box in a lot of areas of the team for the Philadelphia Eagles. They're a formidable opponent. But I think if you get down to the coach, you're checking the box for the Chiefs with Andy Reid. You get to the quarterback, you're checking the box. All due respect to Jalen Hurts. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes every single time. And that's enough to tip the scales, right? So to me, it's Kansas City Chiefs. I'm picking them to win by 3, 30-27.
I like to hear it.
Absolutely love to hear that.
I mean, Solomon, how do you feel like the broadcasting game has changed? I mean, I'm kind of biased because your era is where my heroes all were in broadcasting. I mean, I grew up with just Keith Jackson, yourself, when you were on CBS.
Bert Lundquist, Dick Enberg, Mike Patrick.
Thank you. And Joe Theismann on Sunday Night Football, the Monday Night Football crew. It just seems like there's maybe lacking star power. Yeah, we got Tony Romo for a lot of money right there at CBS. Tom Brady's coming into Fox. We're going to give him a lot of money. But it just doesn't seem to have the cachet and the names that I put with the voices like I did in the 90s. Maybe I'm just getting old.
Well, a lot of us had to put in a lot of work to get there. Right?
Yes.
Like, I worked in television for 2 years without even being paid as an unpaid intern for an NBC affiliate. This is after a 7-year career in the NFL. I worked for the NBC affiliate in Cincinnati, worked for 2 years as an unpaid intern, learned to write, learned to edit, learned to produce, learned to be a good storyteller, learned to cover multiple sports, right, to make it interesting and entertaining. And then I was hired as a producer, then a reporter, then a local sports anchor. And then when I went to work for ESPN, it wasn't behind some desk in a glorious job. I was a bureau correspondent. As a reporter, I had to fly around different cities and cover the sport, start early, work late. That's how, whether you're Dick Enberg, whether you're Vince Scully, we all had to come up through this rigor, right?
Which doesn't exist
and
today.
I didn't get a job because I was a Hall of Famer or a Pro Bowler. You see what I'm saying?
You're right.
And so when you miss steps and they just bequeath to you, here's a job, and you're not a seasoned pro. And I'm not saying everybody has to do this, But in order to be great at it, to be good at it, it sure would help. I could just tell you that. So I'm not knocking anybody, but I think the business of it all, I think we've seen some erosion across the art form, right? Good storytelling, good journalism, some integrity in it. We were all taught, don't get in the way of the broadcast. We're there to heighten and lift the broadcast, so they shouldn't see me. They didn't see Howard Cosell. Howard Cosell elevated the fight between Ali and Frazier.
Yes.
Now, he didn't get in the way. He elevated it, right? So that's what it's supposed to be about, but that's a lost art. I'm sorry if I sound like an old fogey.
No, we agree with you 100%. So.
Well, I always say that, you guys, the players out there, they play the show. You guys write the lyrics. If this is amusing, you guys are the lyricists, and that's just so important. So, again, guys, Solomon and Mike, thank you guys so much for joining us. CalmPosure. Oh, there we go. I'm the logo guy.
CalmPosure.
I'm a pitch fan, after all. CalmPosure. I'm going to take some right now because we have two conflicting Super Bowl predictions. And
make sure you go to CalmPosure.com, get that promo code in there, stress-free to get a free bottle.
Get a free bottle.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes, CalmPosure.
We're coming back after you next year in Vegas, Solomon, so don't go too far.